Good morning on Wednesday, April 19th. It's episode 213, and we got noisy neighbors in the studio.
Yeah, woohoo! Let's get rowdy.
Welcome to the 359 podcast. I'm BBG, and joining us today, we have Roger Cheng, Ben Fox Rubin, and Erin Carson, all the way from Louisville.
Yay! Woohoo!
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks to everyone on the chat already. First,
Yes.
second, and so on.
There we go. We're going to be talking about Facebook's developer conference, and I'm going to try not to make any Fast and Furious jokes. I don't.
You just did.
Did I?
You've already
that was a
acted
reference. It wasn't a joke. I'm trying not to make any jokes. They made many terrible jokes for us. So I don't know if you saw the beginning of that conference, but it was pretty awkward.
I didn't see it.
When geeks try to be funny on stage, scripted.
That's the entire point of this show!
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
right.
and it's a bad show.
Yeah. No, we're not being funny. We're being incompetent. It's two different things.
Speaking of,
No, we'll be talking about Facebook and their push for AR, augmented reality. And we have Erin on to talk about the Logged Out series. It is a package of stories that deals with death in the digital age, death and estate planning. So it's a bit of a grim subject, but also very useful. Very useful.
Important.
Very important. In speaking of Facebook, what to do with your Facebook profile. So, as always, if you have any questions, Brian will pick out the best ones. We will get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
from 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359, where we talk about the top tech news of the day and all of the crap we want to throw in. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
And with us is special guest Erin Carson, our startup reporter from Louisville. She's here to talk about Logged Out, CNET series about how to deal with death in the social network age. But before we get to that, we wanted to talk about that other social network, Facebook, and its F8 developer conference. The big story from yesterday was Facebook's push in augmented reality. Rather than a set of glasses like Microsoft's HoloLens, though, it really wants to give your phone the power to create and share AR experiences. You guys had a chance to kind of look at that conference. I mean, what did you think of the demonstrations there, the demos?
Some of these ideas seem just kind of like either gimmicky or creepy to me. I don't really like them. In some ways, like the AR and the VR stuff that they were presenting were solutions without problems. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but it's still in the gimmicky phase.
I would say a lot of it was just copying Snapchat and its filters, which are insanely popular. If you're a Snapchat user, you're loving those filters. And a lot of it, the first step for AR, I think Facebook kind of tacitly admitted that on stage, was like basically copying Snapchat.
Like that's our business plan now.
Right. But their big push, their second act, as Zuckerberg says, is really to push AR in a way that makes it useful, that isn't gimmicky, like you said, like it's an actual legit thing.
So Erin, what do you think about it? So Zuckerberg on stage at least referenced the idea of having like augmented reality glasses. So you're kind of walking around in VH1's pop-up video or something. Like, would you wear those? It seems like a really horrible idea to me, but maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's still kind of like a psychological barrier for a lot of people in terms of thinking, do I want to have this piece of hardware on my face?
I mean, Google Glass is the best example, right? The glass hole term came out because of that, right?
Exactly. And so, you have a couple different battles. There's the one that says, is this even possible in terms of technology and how far along are we? But also, can you get people on board with just the concept of it? So there's still work to do there.
I think technically it's possible, but I think the bigger challenge is the cultural one. Like, how do you get people into wearing glasses like this? All right, so next up, we wanted to hit a more serious note with Logged Out. Erin, you wrote a couple pieces for this package, including how to get your digital affairs in order before you pass. What did you find? What are some of the tips that we need to be doing if we're preparing ourselves for our own demise?
Sure. So the main idea is that once upon a time, if you died, your estate executors would maybe go into your house and look through your bills and figure out what accounts you had and be able to take care of them that way. But with the proliferation of online accounts, it's very possible that they're not going to know what exactly you have.
Right.
Yeah, all your different obligations and
Exactly.
your Fruit of the Month club, I think you mentioned in the story.
Exactly, right. If there's pears turning up on your doorstep, that
What are
must
they
mean
doing
something. Right, And so, a good place to start is just to inventory what you have. There's an estimate that says that the average person has about 90 accounts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Once you sit down and you actually start listing,
Yep.
all of a sudden you buy that number real quick. And you need to kind of make a determination what you want to happen to those accounts. Do you want it to be memorialized? Do you want it to be deleted? Who handles this? Is it the same person as the person who takes care of your estate, for example?
Is there, from a social network perspective, is there anything you need to do to sort of get your affairs settled there? Like, do you have to craft a plan for someone to like look after it, or like what happens in that situation?
Sure. So a good thing to do is if you are working with an estate planner, you're going to want to leave the proper documentation so that your executors can actually go to these social networks with whatever the documents they need are,
Right.
and be able to say like, yes, what we want to do is in line with what this person wanted. So you're really just trying to make it easier for the folks who have to deal with you after you're gone.
Yes. Very helpful stuff. For more on that, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
And I'm Erin Carson.
Thanks for listening.
All right, so let's jump right back in the chat. We'll start taking your questions now. And Hangs David is very impatient. He wants to know how exactly AR is going to work for Facebook. So let's give him like a laundry list of some of the examples that we saw at the keynote.
I think one of the examples was basically this all works through your phone. The Facebook app has a camera. I think most of their apps now have some sort of camera function to it. And the idea is that they're reaching out to developers today or yesterday to really try to build these kinds of filters or other ways to augment what you're seeing on the camera. So it's not just the selfie, but also the rear camera. So you paint or you point your camera at a sign or a restaurant, and the idea is like the information will come up, or you'll be able to manipulate images, manipulate your face by adding filters, like you puking rainbows or whatever. And that's
Snapchat.
That's Snapchat.
Yeah.
One of the ideas that was also mentioned is like you're kind of bored at a doctor's office. You can use your phone to look at a blank table and then play some version of like whack-a-mole, right? That you can kind of play like a silly little game using AR. So you're integrating the world around you and overlaying it with some sort of like gamification while you're like sitting around and bored.
Yeah, I think one thing they mentioned was the idea of taking a 2D image and adding some depth to it. Basically you take a photo of a room and you can sort of manipulate it like left and right, so there's some depth to it. You can add like digital balls or Skittles. I think you fill a room with Skittles, and so
the important stuff.
I know, very important stuff.
Yeah.
Granted, this is all very early days for augmented reality, and
Sure.
this sort of shows off what you can do. I think the idea is by reaching out to developers, you'd actually find more useful applications for this stuff down the line. It isn't necessarily all about filling rooms with Skittles. Hopefully.
Or so you think.
I know.
So to try to qualify this, how would AR be the future of communication?
That's a really good question. I mean, it kind of
it's
is.
hard to
It's
say.
actually kind of communication. It's how we communicate now, right? With Snapchat, especially if you're a youngin'.
Where's
me.
Alfred?
I know. He's on vacation. He's got to take a break every once in a while.
No, he doesn't. He's a child.
We can't say that on air. We cannot say that.
Oh, wait,
he's over 18, and he's
We'll wait and
least
find out if he
offensive.
actually watches the show that he's on when he's not on it.
No, of course not. But no, the idea is like we already communicate with filters, right? We alter the way we look to show our emotions, show how we're feeling. We send them off to other people. This is just sort of taking a next progression to it.
Absolutely. Matthew Datcher in the chat, he wants to switch gears over to death because we're having a solid laughing time here today. And speaking of death, is there a good dead man switch? In other words, services that send my passwords and other information to trusted parties.
Oh, you wrote about a couple of these ideas.
If I don't respond to prompts after several days.
So there's a few options out there. One person I interviewed used a service called Directive Communication Systems, and that's kind of this like one-stop shop where it corrals every account you have, every wish that you have for that account, and kind of helps get all of that settled once you are gone.
Wow.
The important thing to remember, because there are multiple services out there that do different things, like if someone contacts them and is like, hey, Bob died this week, let's shut it all down. What you really have to be careful of is all of your accounts don't get wiped before the people that need info in those accounts get the info.
Right.
So you kind of have to ask the good
Is
questions.
there like what the questioner, what the commenter asked? Like, is there that actual dead man switch where like if you don't check in every 30 days, like they'll shut it all down? Is that an option?
That
or?
doesn't. That sounds dangerous though. Like
I don't know. Totally dangerous.
What if I
Isn't there a
go off
timeout in
grid?
Facebook though? I thought there was, where if like you just ignored your account, they might just
I don't think they
sunset it.
don't ever delete
They
the
don't?
accounts though.
No,
but
they
you
keep
have to
them
actively
forever.
delete them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The Google Account Manager has sort of like a period of inactivity that you can specify if you don't, log into your account in like a year or something like that. You can set up a function to have it deleted, for example. But as far as I've seen so far, I don't think there's just one switch that'll just take everything down.
No,
Right.
it's totally impractical. But like, I imagine for folks out there's some interest in something like that.
It's
Yeah.
not a bad idea. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely becoming something. What was the statistic we heard the other day? There's more dead people on Facebook than alive, or something like that.
What?
Really?
Well, not
That's
now,
just a Black
not
Mirror
now,
episode.
but in the next 20 years or something like that,
Oh.
it'll completely shift.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be a point where
possibility.
we're not there yet, but that is a Black Mirror episode. You're just interacting with dead people all the time.
Like some bizarre Grim Reaper whose job it is to go out and just start eradicating those old accounts or something like that. Wouldn't that be a job?
Oh, this is
Wow.
getting
Sounds fun.
sad. I'm
Yeah.
so sad right
I
now.
like Mike Shaw's suggestion. Just schedule tweets so you can tweet from the grave.
Ooh,
That's a pretty good
yeah,
idea.
That is
can.
something I would do.
Wasn't there one
BVG?
service?
The hell?
Wasn't there one service that you mentioned where you can have like recorded messages sent to people like after you die, and arguably you can do it like a year or 10 years or whatever afterward, which sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it was called Dead Social, and you can leave messages or videos or kind of whatever you want. The way that you kind of kick it off is somebody has to inform them that you've died, but you can kind of leave as many messages as you want. So I guess theoretically you could decide that it's not at all creepy to wish family members happy birthday or holidays or something like that.
Or
So
like leave like a treasure somewhere, and like
I feel like that
sprinkle
book, The West
bread.
I
Wing,
buried $1
you
million
know?
in gold bullion, and here's a map to it.
A great way to mess with people.
Yeah, I guess if you got like a really wicked sense of humor, that is
Fly to
actually
Madagascar.
great. Yeah,
Nubs also points out that while the dead man switch is a great theory, I tend to go offline for months at a time.
Yeah.
And be dead pretty frequently.
no, that would be the real weak
I
point
would-
for
I
that.
would love-
You should be
I
able
would
to
love
like
that.
manually set that though. It's like I probably won't check Facebook for like 3 to 4, 5, 6 months or something like that. I know that. Don't erase me for like a year.
I think my problem would be I'd forget about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like after after a month of it, I'm like, what happened to all my accounts? Why are they all deactivated?
In the future, people will actually think you had died, and when you come back on Twitter, they'd be like, "Roger, we thought you were dead. We had a funeral for you."
Let's be honest, it won't be Twitter.
It won't be. That's true. That's true. It most certainly won't be Twitter. Sorry, at Jack. Yeah.
All right, swinging back over to AR. Does the AR stuff work with any phone or specific phone with 2 or more cameras, specifically citing Lenovo Project Tango?
Oh,
that's from our
good
friend
question.
Yathu.
That's a great question. I mean, he wasn't really clear. I think the idea is that they want to create a platform for as many people as possible. So logically, that would be every phone, any phone basically that has
Which
a
has
Facebook app.
Facebook, yeah.
The augmented reality, the Project Tango phone that he's referring to, I think it was the Lenovo Fab 2
2.
Pro, which is a giant monster of a phone that no one owns. It has multiple cameras for depth sensing, and it's definitely AR to the next level. It's way more advanced than your typical phone. But I don't think that's what Facebook is going for here. Like, they're starting a little bit more kind of a rudimentary level, and that's because they want to get as many people as possible to use this stuff. And the Fab 2 Pro is not going to be it.
And this isn't going to result in Fab 2 Pro sales skyrocketing, obviously.
Has anybody got any perspective compare and contrasting Facebook AR experience versus HoloLens?
I think they're pretty different. I mean, this is Facebook.
through the
Facebook
phone.
experience is through the phone, so it's like Pokemon Go. Whereas HoloLens, like you wear this heavy headset, and it's like a tiny screen that floats in front of you, and you can sort of see what's going on. I mean, there's minimal interaction to it, but it's the same principle, but it's done in a very different way.
By the way, we didn't talk about Facebook Spaces
You're right, with
either,
the
which is like
VR
we're talking so
Hangout
much
area.
about AR.
Yeah.
This is the VR Hangouts where you can basically like we could be doing the podcast in VR where like BVG is, I don't know, like in Jamaica and you just like port in and we're all like in a virtual reality space doing something. That was
They
also
showed a couple
another
of demos. Like I think they showed a demo where we're all in one space. One woman's bragging about this new apartment she just got, and she just like clicked a button and like the VR space turned into the apartment, so they could all share that experience to see what it's like.
Because that's what I want is a better way for somebody to brag.
Yes. Yeah. In
That's what
virtual
technology is all
reality.
about.
Right.
You're not wrong.
And you could also like take selfies while in the VR space.
Right, and you could take Facebook video calls. So, like, someone who doesn't have a VR headset, they can still join in the conversation via video feed. My problem with all this is like, you need to have like a super expensive Oculus set with a nice computer to run all this.
Yeah.
And so the social element's a little dampened by the fact that not everyone can take part in this.
I mean, eventually, like everything, that will become a little more consumer
It's
friendly.
cheaper down the line for sure.
Right.
That's
But it goes
a
back
long
to
way
what I
coming.
was thinking is that what exactly is the solution? Like what is it solving there that you're actually going to spend potentially thousands of dollars or like let's say even $1,000? Like
Right.
how is it making my life that much better? How is it actually improving things beyond a Skype phone call or a regular phone call or like texting somebody? That's why like I have a bit of skepticism about this because there's definitely like a high like there's a big expense attached to it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Be interested to call out to the chat, see if anybody is kind of on board with the AR VR train, who's excited about it, who's anti AR VR, who thinks like I haven't used Facebook in years. What the hell are you guys talking about? We got to wrap it up soon. That we apologize for all the regulars that we're going a little early today and cutting it a little short today. We've got a big project this afternoon. We got to work on a special guest coming in that I'm not going to tell you about, but I'm going to tease you to keep an eye on CNET to learn more.
Oh yeah, very exciting.
So one more to close it out with, and this is kind of a fascinating idea. Assad remarks that he recalls Mark Zuckerberg saying something about being able to write a comment just by thinking about it.
Oh,
I hate this idea.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna happen. I think they're working on that.
I hate this idea.
They're all working on it. Google, Facebook, they're all working on like brains.
All right, so
technology that taps into your brain.
I'm gonna demonstrate what that's going to be like without the technology this afternoon. Just check my Facebook around 4 o'clock. There'll be 67 posts about pizza.
And here's what I think about that idea. I'm doing
that
it right
was
now.
that was illuminating. I have to
That
say.
was smooth.
It's very
Wow,
Very, very
that might
smart.
have been the most insightful you've ever been on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Here, this is my response to what you just said.
Screw you. Dude. All right, if you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, and Google Play Music. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Erin, for joining us.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye, everybody.